What year was it that we did the first interview?
94.
94?
Year after y'all got married.
Right after we got married. Well, it's now the year 2000.
6 years later.
6 years later. And take the opportunity to kind of finish up
Take
some
your
of the
lens
things.
cover off.
Dad's taking a picture of us. Well, we're on the set here. So
Now the year
lots
2000
happened.
and what?
The year 2000, the year after we got married. We've been married 7 years now. And Peggy and I have. And so we got a little one on the way in October. So we're doing all this to be there forever and ever, so that when our kids are 50 and 60, they'll be able to show their grandkids and stuff. So who you guys were and all those good things like that. So I know last time, and I probably will combine the two tapes a little bit, a little bit of some of the answers and questions and such. But I did want to start off with, with your childhood, as far as you were an only child, right?
Only child.
Yeah. And there was Vita and Gordon, who I'm naming after.
Yep.
And
James Gordon Woolley, Vita's sibling.
now, how did they meet? Do you know how they met?
Have no idea how they met.
Have no idea how they met. Okay. Well, did you?
Don't know.
Did you have any sliders?
Right.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Are we framed in? Okay. Tell me about the house you grew up in.
Well, I grew up in several different houses, so.
Okay. Tell us about your favorite.
Well, the one I remember, I guess, first was over on the north and east part of town. It was in walking distance of downtown. Because one day Mother took me to the movie. They had gone up, and I only had a nickel, and they had gone up to 10 cents.
Oh my gosh.
It
The
was
movies were 10
Saturday.
cents.
Yeah.
Pretty
It was
amazing.
Saturday. And I went down for my favorite. She drove me down there and let me out. And I went over there to pay for it. I almost beat her home,
Oh,
walking.
no.
Well, baby, how did you get across the street? I just went with everybody else.
Oh no.
Like everybody else went across.
And how old were you again then?
Oh, I don't know. 6, 7, 5, 6, I don't know. I don't really.
You just almost beat her back home.
Yeah. I almost beat her back.
Oh no. So did you get to go see the movie finally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she gave me the money to come back down there.
Oh, okay.
But she pointed out to me that all I had to do was walk down to the bank, just down the street,
That's where Dad was.
where Daddy was
Yeah.
working, and get the nickel from him.
Gotcha. So how much was a nickel back then, equivalent to now?
Oh, Lord, I don't know.
Oh, sure.
It might be. But a
What, do you
nickel-
remember what the movie was?
Oh, heck no.
Oh, okay.
Saturday afternoon. No, it could have been Flash Garden. It could have been a Western. I don't know.
But something like that.
Flash Garden, the sequels. So every Saturday you got to watch a Flash Garden episode.
Yeah.
And it was.
Those were the things to go see.
So I grew up liking science fiction. Flash Garden and Flying to the Moon and all of the things.
Yeah.
Grew up liking it.
Well, what kind of cars did your mom and dad drive back then? Do you remember, was there a particular car that kind of stood out in your mind as one that was your favorite, or that?
Yeah, the only one I really remember is the kind of the last one.
In Bel Air?
Well, no, that was one before that had a real V-pointed grill. And I had a milk truck.
Oh,
The back
no.
of a milk truck with that thing, with that grill. I had a lot of fun over that.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Oh
And that was, I don't know, I've been up to Jack's house.
yeah.
Out in the dark room, learning how to develop pictures.
Ah, there you go. There you go. So he was already using his artistic
I had
talent.
my driver's license at that time. So
How old were you then?
About 14.
So you were about 14 when you got your driver's license.
Yeah.
Did you have any pets when you were growing up?
Yeah. They were outside. They were never allowed inside.
Dogs, cats?
Dogs. We had a female collie come and have her, she had about 12, I think, pups under the garage floor.
Yeah.
And had time digging him out.
Yeah.
But as far as just one that was with me every minute, no, I didn't have one of those.
Not like these kids that we have around.
Not like the ones that I have now.
And the ones you have now, yeah, exactly.
My 3 cats and 2 dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's see here. Now, I asked you about a particular house that you liked. Was there a particular house that you really liked more than the others when you were growing up?
No, we lived in that house over on the other side of town. Then we moved to South Walnut, and it was kind of a big house. And cousin Louise was living with us at that time to finish high school. But then we all moved over. She moved. She came in while we were there. But then we all moved over just across the backyards to another house, Daddy Ball house up there. And we just carried stuff over there across the backyard. Anything that, the big stuff was moved elsewhere. Some of it, I don't remember how, but anyway.
Wasn't a big move. It wasn't too far away, yeah.
Wasn't too far away.
Still almost had the same backyards.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the 3 houses that I can remember that we lived in. My grandmother lived out east of town on the road to Winona, and English actually, and a place I think called Silver Hill. Used to love right there. She had horses, horses riding, and shuck corn, use the churn to churn some butter.
So life was a little different out at the Sibley house. Huh?
Sibley Hill, yeah.
Sibley Hill.
It's called Sibley Hill.
Kind of a throwback
because,
even for your times,
yeah,
right?
my granddaddy was Bob Sibley, and he lived in one spot, and then on down the road a little bit further lived his brother. Leon Sibley was his name. Well, there were several Sibleys around there. They lived in several different spots. This spot's called Sibley Hill.
Yeah.
It's up on hills.
Yeah, yeah.
Bunch of Sibleys lived around there.
Yeah.
At least I think that's why it's called Sibley.
Surely. Can't think of any other. So, yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about this picture here. Let's see if I can get a good close-up with this one. I don't know if you see that or not, but this was in your junior year of high school.
My junior year
Farm
in high
dress,
school.
1942.
That's the dress that I wore to the junior senior prom. My date was Ed Brooks, who is now a doctor.
Yeah.
In Red River County.
Yeah.
He was my date for both the junior and the junior senior prom.
Yeah. Where was that picture taken at?
Probably at the studio downtown. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Doesn't it say on the back it's Butler Studio or something like that? Doesn't it?
No.
I have no idea.
There's a number on it. That's about it.
Really have no idea. Does have a number. Probably at the studio downtown.
Yeah.
That was
Good
back
looking
in
picture of you.
early days of
So you were
color
15
stuff.
in that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Birthday's in January. This was a junior senior reception about in May or something.
May or
something. I'd say I was.
Yeah, so yeah.
Because I graduated when I was 16. So.
Yeah. Now, when you graduated, what did you do after graduation?
Well, we had some party at night.
Yeah.
And out at North Lake. And then, what did I do? We all went to college over in North Texas. North Texas State Teachers College it was at that time.
Same place I went.
Yeah. Same place you ended up.
Ended up.
Your last 2 years.
Yeah. 4 schools in 4
5
years.
years.
Yeah. 4 schools in 4 years, and I finished at.
No, 5 years.
I went to 4 schools in 4 years, but the last one I stayed 2 years.
Yeah, right. So it was 5 years.
5
To
total.
get you out of school.
Yeah.
Maybe about the same as last. I didn't stay but one semester because I didn't like it.
Didn't like it. Wasn't a cup of tea.
I didn't like the girls. kept trying to get me into a sorority. And I didn't like, I didn't like his freshman English for sure.
Yeah. Keep going. I'm going to move this in just a little bit.
Because it was writing stories, and I didn't like to write stories. I wasn't good at that. You don't want to do things you're not good at.
Yeah. So
The big
maybe
thing,
your major was the thing that
the
that you
biggest
didn't like the
thing.
most.
What, major? No. I don't know that I had a major at that time. We didn't do things like that back then. I guess I was going for business courses, but no particular major. And this was during the war. This was, I graduated from high school in '43, so it was during the war. And
It was Diana, class clown.
there were no boys, and I was boy crazy, so I think I remember telling about this. There were no boys there except for the ROTC groups that were there on campus. And they all had girls back home because they were from somewhere else, some other state. And I just didn't like college.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that bit.
Yeah.
So I went back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job working for the city hall. I did water bills, and I did the tax roll for that year, which was a rather big thing for a little thing like me to be doing, or a young thing like me to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't but 17, I guess, at the time. And no, yeah, 17. You had no birthday. I'm 17 now. Okay. So then I decided that I wanted to go to cosmetology school. Back then we called it beauty school.
Yeah.
It's cosmetology now.
Yeah.
And so I went over there and we got that all straightened out and ready to go for starting in September, I guess. Anyway, I, of course, quit. Oh, at that job, I made a whole $10 a week.
Whoa.
Oh, that $10 a week. I went out and bought my first black dress because Mother never would let me have one. I wasn't but 17.
Yeah.
So I bought my first black dress. And $1 down, $1 a week. It was about $10, I guess, for the dress.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I did that.
Took a while to get that one.
Yeah, it took a while. Well,
Did you put it on layaway or just buy it?
I
and
just
paid it
bought
out?
it and paid it out.
Yeah. So where did you wear that dress?
I haven't the faintest idea now.
Yeah.
It was important at the time
Yeah,
to get a black
exactly,
dress, but I have no idea now where I wore it.
We're all slaves of fashion.
Yeah, and the
Got a biplane flying over. Gonna be noisy.
yeah.
Let that go. Kind of ironic we have a World War II plane going over about the time. They never fly over, so.
Okay, now while I was in college, what I took, they allowed me because of the scarcity of people there, I guess. They allowed me to take a junior course, which was office machines. And they said, well, if it doesn't get filled up, well, we'll let you take it. And it didn't, so I got to take that course, and that's where I learned how to use all the different machines that you use in offices. Back then, of course, it was a lot different than what it is today.
Yeah.
But I learned how to use 10 key.
Yeah.
And real good. And that was what we used at the city hall.
Yeah.
And of course, with all those bills that I had to do there, I got pretty good at it. And so that's been my salvation.
Yeah.
And I'm not anywhere near as fast as most people that do that are.
What brought you right on into
But I am
accounting and
uh-huh.
bookkeeping and all that?
Yeah.
Well, tell me about, now you said that you and Dad really didn't meet anywhere, you just kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
Did your families know one another? I guess small
No.
town, no, didn't know each other, but...
Didn't know each other, didn't hobnob with each other. Yeah.
Just went to school together, perhaps?
Yeah, we just went to school together.
Now, you said did you meet him when you were in the band, or was that the class you had similar? Or?
Well, I had always known Jackie Burford. He was a hunk.
He was the man. Huh?
Yeah, he was the man. This was a real. You knew these people, whether you ever got to hobnob with them or not, something else. But
So, in other words, they came from a little bit, some pretty good background, I guess.
Didn't necessarily have to do with background or family crest or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just they were good-looking boys, and you just knew who they were.
Yeah.
They were above you in school. Back then, if you were a freshman, you did not date anybody in a higher grade.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't date you. You were too low on the totem pole to be dated. So they dated seniors. Seniors dated seniors, and juniors dated juniors, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I had a boyfriend that was named D.W. Bonds, took the Daniel Webster Bond. From the high second to the low six.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
And they moved out of town. His dad worked for a lumber mill.
Yeah.
And they moved down to Lufkin or somewhere down there. They ended up in Louisiana later on. It was real strange. This guy, D.W., showed up the week before Jack and I got married. There was 2 or 3 guys that I used to date that showed up.
This guy showed up out of
They just showed up.
Yeah. Maybe hoping to dissuade you from...
No, they didn't know I was getting married.
Oh, they just happened to show
came
up.
to
That's
visit.
wild, yeah.
Let's go see what Ruth looks like now. I think that's what they were saying.
Oh. Well, from judging from your pictures there, they came back and went, wow.
That was real strange.
Yeah. Well, so, let's see. You said that you and Dad were in the band together. And what'd you play?
French horn.
French horn. And Dad played trumpet.
Yeah.
And I've actually played both of those at one point. Some other instruments too.
Yeah.
But now, when did you pick up piano? Because I know piano's a big part of your life.
The day I started school when I was 6 years old.
6 years old.
I was 6 on the 9th of January and started school at midterm, which was about the middle of January, 20 something along in there. And first day I went to school, I went to piano lesson.
Did you?
Four little girls on the bench at the same time.
Wow.
We each had our own locket that we played in.
Wow. Did you ever teach like that? Because I know...
No, I never teach like that.
That's interesting.
I thought about it, but it just never happened.
Okay, well, let's say
But
now...
I did teach piano for about 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So. Let's talk
well,
about...
we mentioned it, so I thought...
Exactly. Did now, when you and Dad decided to get married, do you remember that day that you finally decided, hey, let's just get married?
Well, we had been dating for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up out at the North Lake one night, and there was a hammock out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were sitting in the hammock, or lying in the hammock, and smooching and everything. And he just all of a sudden says, well, do you think we can make it? Make what?
Yeah.
I'd like to go back and do that one
Yeah.
again. That was essentially
That was your biggest mistake.
will you marry me type speech
Yeah.
that he did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to go back and do that again.
No.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, you do it all over, huh?
I'd like to go back and do that again. So give him hell.
Yeah,
Until
exactly.
he did it right.
There you go. So in other words, he didn't propose exactly like
Not
you
exactly according to Hoyle.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's kind of the way Peggy and I did it too. Inadvertently, we were on the way back from Texas, and I said, we were having such a great time. I said, well, you think we ought to get married? And she said, or something. I said, well, we ought to just get married then.
Well, now,
And she goes, okay.
You told us when you were
I
down
did.
there.
Yeah,
That
that
y'all
we thought
wanted
we
to
yeah. So it was during that trip though, the first time we came down to Texas. But anyway, so that happened, and where'd you guys get married at?
at the Presbyterian Church in Clarksville,
Okay.
Texas. And we had two preachers. Because I was Presbyterian and he was Methodist, and the Methodist preacher, my Presbyterian preacher was a real old guy about to retire. And his Methodist preacher was a young guy and had been the instigator of a bunch of stuff for the graduating class, which Jack was part of. They had a Sunday school class that was made up of, this was after the war, so they'd already graduated, but they had a bunch of kids from that had been together, graduated together. And we just did that. We put on a play. We had a concert. Did a lot of acapella singing. Just a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. Good fun stuff.
Yeah.
Good wholesome stuff. Well, let's see.
So anyway, we had these two preachers.
You got the two preachers, and then and you only had a few people standing up with you, right, at the time?
Well, we just had he had a man, I had a woman.
There you go. Best man,
Yeah.
maid honor, and there you go. Yeah.
That was it.
There you go.
Small wedding.
Good deal. Well, now, let's see. Now, when you guys got married, you headed to where now? Dad was working for Mobile Oil, or got a job with Mobile Oil, or was he working for Mobile Oil?
He was still going to school. He had a year and a half school to finish before he got his BA.
Yeah.
And he got a BA in
Business?
business administration.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And then he went to work for Mobile.
And then he went to work for Mobile, yes. And we got sent out to Levelland.
Which is West Texas.
We lived there about a year and 9 months. And he was supposed to be a 2%er from Dallas, which meant that he was supposed to move around a bunch and learn a lot about the business, and then they were going to pull him back into Dallas. And it just didn't happen as fast as he thought it ought to.
Yeah.
He got a little upset.
Never does, yeah.
Anyway, we had the opportunity to move there down to Snyder. And he worked in the office in Snyder. And we built our first little house there. And it was kind of like a shotgun house, you know.
Yeah.
The outside dimensions were 14 by 22, which is the average size living room. And we had a living room and a bedroom and a kitchen and a bath and a hall closet
There you go.
inside there. So,
Yeah, wow, that's pretty amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
We bought an acre of land, half acre, I guess it was. And, it was about a mile away from where he worked at the local place.
Yeah.
And back then it wasn't Mobile, or it was Magnolia.
Magnolia.
Magnolia was happening, yeah.
Well, now, did you, now, when's the first time you had, like, when your first baby, Larry?
When we lived in that little shotgun house.
Yeah.
No, Larry was born. Larry was born in when we lived in Levelland.
Levelland, so then.
Yeah, I came back. I found out I was pregnant. And just about the time he got out of school.
Okay.
And by the time he got the job, we moved out to Levelland. And back
So
then,
y'all were married about a
there
year
was
and a
still
half
bunch of-
before you had babies?
There were a bunch of people there in Clarksville at that time that we knew. So we'd go back home about every 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Go out and do people's.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a long, hard trip to drive. That's a long way to drive.
Yeah.
About 10-hour drive.
Yeah.
We came home. Anyway, I came back home and stayed to have my first baby, Larry. And he was born in November of 1948.
Okay.
We
and
married in 46 and he was born in
48.
48.
Then Kathy, she was born in
When we lived in Snyder.
Snyder,
That house, yeah.
in Sweetwater.
We went to Sweetwater to the doctor in the hospital, and it was a do-it-yourself.
So yeah, so that didn't go as planned with the doctors and everything there.
No, the doctor came in and cut my water and then went home to eat.
Oh no.
And You don't do that with me. I have them in 30 minutes after that.
Yeah, do you? You're pretty quick. Then we had Diana. Where was Diana born at?
In Clarksville.
In Clarksville. You'd have moved back there by then?
We didn't move back to Clarksville ever.
Yeah.
We just went back to stay long enough to have a baby.
Okay.
We were in Midland, and I was pregnant, and the move was coming up to bring us back to Dallas, and they, Dr. Reed said, well, you better come on back in a couple of months before, because to travel that far, that late wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Nothing
Good
ever,
advice.
Nothing ever bothered me.
That's
But,
good
you know.
advice, yeah.
Anyway, I went back to Clarksville and lived there until Diana came.
Okay.
And I guess it was the first time when Larry was born, Jack ended up just showing up and Larry was 2 weeks late.
Oh, no.
and he showed up and he says, well, I'm here till this baby gets here, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter how long it takes, I'm here till it gets here because I can't stand it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Diana was born in Clarksville first. And then we moved to Dallas. And they had the measles. No, chicken pox.
Chicken box.
Chicken pox, that's what it was. I have pictures of Kathy and Diana with chicken pox in the Calamine Lotion.
Yeah, well, yeah. So how did you take to motherhood? It was kind of just something you did?
Natural,
and,
yeah, it's just
natural.
something you did. You didn't have to read a book to find out how to do it, you just did it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It was just natural back then.
So now,
you got out of school and you found somebody that you liked and loved, and you got married, and then you had kids. And I mean, it's just normal.
the way things go.
You didn't plan things out like you do today.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Well, so then 10 years down the road, all of a sudden here comes me.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, here's Kevin.
Well, we were in Denver by that time.
Yeah.
And the night that you were conceived, I had a piano recital.
Well,
And I was going to go up on my charges for the next year, and I didn't know whether they were going to go with me on that or not, whether they liked me that much or not. So I was apprehensive on that. And wasn't supposed to be having a period till later.
but anyway, so things.
Anyway,
that was the night.
I made it come sooner
Yeah.
than it should have.
About stress and worrying about raising everything.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the night I met with you.
There you go. Wonderful thing. Yeah.
And of course, I did not for a couple of weeks. We went camping.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Now I'm curious too as to just some. So what are some of your fondest memories, just in all, just in life, and what are some of the things that, if you had to tell our kids and grandkids and their grandkids, something that's important in life, what would you say is important? What's your words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom.
You can think on it for a second. It's simple things to live your life by, our advice to the generations and generations.
Well, you should never try to lie, because when you get into lies and don't tell the truth, a lie begets another lie, and another one, and you just find yourself down in a deep hole that you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
Simplest thing to tell the truth, and there's no truth, and that's it.
Yeah.
What else?
What about money?
Money. Well, generally one person in a marriage knows a little bit more about handling money than the other does.
Mm-hmm.
Jack had charge of the long-range view, and I had charge of the daily details. It's still that way.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Uh,
Similar to the way Peggy and I do ours.
except now that he's retired, we each have our own, we have our own bank accounts,
Mm-hmm.
2 different bank accounts, because he would not write down who he wrote a check to, and I never knew how much money I had in the bank. And so I said, okay, that's enough of that. So he has his own bank account,
There you go.
and he gets to worry about it all by himself.
Sure.
So, okay. I just think that's the best way to do that.
What about love?
Oh, well, love is a two-way street. Always. And it should be real hard to get married and very easy to get divorced. Because you should get married who you should. In my generation, most of the girls, when they got married, it was mainly to leave home, just to get away from home. And why they wanted to get away from home, I don't know. Different reasons.
Yeah. Rite of passage, growing up, getting out. So, how old
Freedom.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 19.
19?
Yep. 21 when married was married. That's one thing. We got married in August the 18th, 1946.
46. Well, let's see here. Now tell me about our Indian heritage, a little bit about that one too, just to go
I don't
back.
know a whole lot about that.
Now, you figured out what percentage are you Cherokee Indian? 132nd, 164? I think we're 132nd.
Yeah, something like that.
Or is it 116?
It's Cherokee Indian, I know that. I don't really know what it is.
I remember last time you told me
Because
something.
I don't know exactly which great-great-grandmother it was, and whether it was great-great or great-great-great, I don't know. But anyway, she was half Indian, whoever this was. And as yellow as my granddaddy was in skin color, he had to be pretty close to whoever it was. Maybe it was like his mother, which would be my great-grandmother.
And that was Gordon's dad?
Yeah. Granddaddy Willie. And he is the one, do you have one of Adler's books? He's the one that she's talking about in that book. He had a stump for one of his hands just didn't grow.
Yeah.
But he could work circles around most people.
And that was Gordon's father. Okay.
Yeah, Daddy had, I don't know, about 5 brothers and 2 sisters.
5 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yeah, something 4 or 5. Two sisters I know, Mabel and Ruth.
Well, and let's see now. If you had, I'm worried that we can't hear because of that stuff. Did you, so we'll speak up. Did you, tell me about, if you had, what's one of your fondest memories of grandmother? And then the fondest memory of grandfather, Gordon? Yeah, something that kind of really tells you who they are. Really kind of summed them up. Something.
Daddy was a banker. He worked except for the River National Bank.
Let's speak up a little bit.
And after he died, they had to rearrange a whole bunch of people and jobs around there in the bank because a bunch of people didn't want to deal with anybody but him, and he wasn't there anymore. So,
so he had a good following of
he had a good following,
clientele at the bank and all.
Well,
What did he
just-
do there? Did he
Oh, he was a loan officer
loan
for one
officer?
thing. He
Took
was
care of those?
a teller.
A little bit of everything.
I don't know
Okay.
what the structure
All right.
is.
Well, then tell me about Vita now, grandmother. Kind of sum her up. Just, her personality. What defined her?
She was now both of them were Aquarians, which means they were fun-loving people. They did, and my daddy was a real.
He liked to have
They
fun,
went
huh?
dancing 3 times a week at different places around South Lake, North Lake, and Crystal Lake.
See, I'd never seen Vita. I think of her as dancing. But
Oh,
yeah.
I grew up on the dance floor.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. Because they went dancing 3 times a week at least. And it was just,
Had a good time.
I can remember once when I was a little tyke. I don't know how old I was, but I can remember going out to Uncle Lynn's house, which was barely on the outskirts of town. And we'd go out there and everybody throw their coats on one of the beds. And then have this big roaring fire in the fireplace and a couple of guys playing fiddles.
Yeah.
And the dance. And sometimes it was, well, I guess it was some what's it called?
Swing dancing.
Yeah, but the other kind, the old kind.
Jitterbug.
No, when people go,
Waltz.
no. Back before that, kid.
Even before that. Flapper.
Nah. Anyway.
Anyway.
Stuff that good would take lessons for now, with big skirts and
Swing
square
dance.
dance.
They love
They
that
did
too.
some of that and some of the swing. So, but anyway, when they got ready to go home, when the kids got tired, the kids just stayed back around the edges or whatever. As far as I remember, we didn't bother our parents.
Yeah,
We just talked to each other or whatever. When we needed a drink, there was a place for us to get a drink, all that kind of stuff. But when you got tired, you just crawled up on top of their coats and went to sleep.
Yeah.
You didn't
That's
have to
good.
bother anybody.
Well, now, what would we tell everybody that, if you could tell me, what defines Ruth Bertram? What would define you? I mean, what would be?
I don't know.
How do you want to be remembered?
I'm not judgmental about anything or anybody.
You just tell it like it is.
Yeah, I do. Truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. Right at the moment I'm doing income tax and bookkeeping, and people like to come to me because I am very outspoken and they know I tell the truth.
Yeah.
And they know that they can just tell by the way I speak. I'm very authoritative in my speak.
Yes.
And
Very wise.
no.
Knowledgeable
No.
and wise. Yeah, they do. They do.
I just put on a good front.
Yeah, no.
I speak authoritatively, and that makes people think that you know what you're talking about, whether you really do or not.
That's good.
So,
I believed you all these years.
yeah.
I knew you knew what you were talking about.
Well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So anyway, it's
So if, like you said, how do you want people to remember you? You want to say that Ruth was what?
truthful.
Truthful. That's good.
Yeah, I was
I'd agree with that.
truthful. I was good at income tax, and good on piano, and played for church all my life, somewhere or other, after I was 12. Just good.
Sounds good.
Played in the church somewhere.
Well, we're going to do one of these.
Where we moved, we'd go to church and they find out I could play. Okay, get up here and play.
Well, I tell you what, and that's something that you're really talented at, is playing that piano. And I've seen some times when you played it for like Christmas cantatas and things, and you and I played together when I did solo ensemble.
We
when
had
I was
fun
playing.
doing that
Yeah,
too,
we did.
didn't
We had a good time.
we? I had to get in there and learn all that music.
Yeah, it was a challenge, and you did it.
Yeah, it was.
And
It
you
was
played
a
it.
challenge.
I think half the time I won some of those awards because you did such a good job of
Well, no, I
playing the
don't
piano.
know. They weren't listening to me.
Yeah,
Mine was strictly background.
but it was perfect. It was done right.
Well, thank you. Uh, the,
I just remember you and I scheming a lot to get Dad going. You know,
what's the matter?
no more tape. I wonder how long that was out.
Yeah.
I was trying to watch the little red thing.